Well, good evening, Intabeats family. It's Bailey, live on the Boat Pod. A surreal moment for me. This is going to be very different this week because I'm going to call him a legend. We've got a legend here who goes by the name of Nico, founder of the label No U-Turn Records, which started back in, I think, 90... Wait, hang on a second. Say what?
Let's say 92.
All right, let's say 92. Yeah. This is a man who sort of pioneered the distortion of the bass line from this particular track, which was by Reese, aka Kevin Saunderson, a track that came out in 1988. And actually, it wasn't this version that the bass line was taken from. It would have been this one.
I knew it.
Oh, come on. Yeah, it would have been this one, right?
Yeah.
So the reason I brought Nico on, not just because of his involvement and a lot of things that you didn't know about that he's done in drum and bass and jungle, but just kind of how did he end up creating these infamous techstep tracks that led to artists like Bad Company, Noisier, who else?
You'll have to carry that on, Bailey.
Yeah, anything distorted, like super distorted on at length, you know, because there was little 808 distorted ones sat in Storm in the earlier days, but there was definitely like a sort of, it's now happening now, a kind of a sound that led on from the extended note of a distorted bass line.
You're talking about this. It's this bass, isn't it? This distorted bass.
Yeah.
Reese bass. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that.
And that's exactly why everyone calls it the Reese bass, because it comes from this track, which is done by Reese, right?
Right. Yeah.
So hopefully we're going to get as far as we can into what's behind you and how you ended up making such tracks, and had a lot to do actually with like Ed Rush and Fierce, and you cultivating artists at your studio in West London. But before we get into that, let me play another one just to take you all the way back. Recognize this one?
I do. Let's just... Good Lord. It's quiet.
No U-Turn release 001. Totally different to where you ended up. Let's have a listen to this one. Yeah, so where the label started and where it ended up is two completely different realms, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was, what's the artist's name? User 102. Was that you and who was involved on that?
That was me and a really good friend of mine, Peter Lazaro, who we spent several years enjoying sort of studio stuff together. I met him when I worked at the Marquee in the mid-'80s. And by the time we set up the No U-Turn room, he kind of built the studio, really. You know, he did all the woodwork and
Oh, you mean the one in West London?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Yeah, so we made this record together, and it was like that was an area of music going on, you know. And I don't really like it. I don't think I've heard it much since we made it, but you know. And I think I've still got a few of the vinyls lying around because it didn't do very well. The helicopter remix of it did quite.
Oh yeah, there was a helicopter remix of. Who was that? Who was Helicopter?
I don't know.
It was just called the Helicopter.
Basement Jack's guy.
Oh really?
I can't remember the name right now. I didn't know you were gonna hit me with not really the first No U-Turn record.
That's what I do.
But it's interesting. It can really. I mean, I'm hoping you're gonna play number 2 in a minute.
No, I'll play this one instead.
All right, you got to turn my cans up a bit, babe.
All right, go on.
I mean, these tunes are so quiet.
Oh, it's because I've got it on low so you can talk.
Oh, okay. Well, let's hear it a bit so we can remind ourselves.
Yeah, let's have a listen.
Yeah.
All right. I've got to send a big shout out to everyone in the chat room right now. Shout going out. Hang on. Yeah, that's better. Shout going out to Daryl Invaders in the chat room. Shout going out to Dom and Roland. Shout going out to the Sleepy Beaver, locked and loaded. Shout going out to Quirky Payne. Actually, you know what, everybody? When you go in the chat room on the Boat Pod website, you can actually go top right to the little outline of the person, like in white outline. You can go up there and click on that and change your name to your actual name. So you don't have to stick with those random names that have been given to you in there. This one is DJ Trace and Ed Rush, Don Badman. It came out in 1993 on Lucky Spin Records. I remember going down to King's Road to get myself a copy of that, you know what I mean? And just a black and white label. But I've recently learned there's more to this track than just Trace and Ed Rush. You want to elaborate, Nico?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I remember making that track with Trace and Ed Rush in my loft, I think, in White Hart Lane. Yeah, I before the studio, I had the sampler set up in my loft where I'd sawed this beam away from the roof, you know, so I could sort of sit there and make music. And Trace came in and had these samples that were just so strong. You know, it's like, is this going to be the vocal on our track? Great. And these beats, they're programmed into Cubase. They're not. That was not really using. Well, some of them. Then there's a very, very. I can hear a really washy bit of Amon or something, but it sounds very amateur. Yeah, but clearly Trace and Ed Rush some plan about these beats, this sound, and maybe this bass. That hard thing. I mean, I relate that hard kind of snare crack sounding. That's just Doc Scott for me.
Yeah.
That's from NHS. That's from one of the great Doc Scott records.
Yeah, and Weremouse, Too Bad Mice. I think that might have been 92, might be on Movie Shadow. It might have been the earliest time we heard that too. And then Doc Scott and a guy called Gerald and all those other people start sampling it. It's still being used today, actually. You know,
I should say on samples that often I never knew the sample source of the sound I was using. I mean, people would come up to me and go, "Oh, I heard that record. You used one of my sounds." And I go, "Did I?" And it would be because Trace or Ed Rush or someone had brought in some. Yeah, we like these ones, but you know.
Well, the thing is, in 1993, it was kind of the done thing, wasn't it? To just it was, no one had any problems really back then. You just take a beat, a whole Amon or a whole break from one track, put it on yours, and add other samples, some other tracks on yours, and have your own version of. People even did their own versions of tracks that were popular, not even called in remixes, we just named it differently completely. So that was kind of normal back then, to be fair. You know what I mean? But here you are engineering on this track. You're not credited, which I'm not pointing out here. I'm just like, you were behind the desk engineering for early rave, going into drum and bass and the jungle era into drum and bass, like way back. So having heard this one, and for the era it was in, there was a lot of tunes that were really poorly put together, like really kind of out of time and messy and everything. But this sounded absolutely on. This is one of the first tunes I heard. This is all together. Everything's falling perfectly in the right place. So obviously you had a lot of engineering skills. Where did all those skills come from?
Right. When I'd left college, in fact, no, I was at college, and during the summer I was in this band, and we wanted to make a demo so people could hear what we were like. And back then you needed to hire a recording studio, and we didn't really have any money, and you'd go into a studio at night, pay maybe 100 quid for the 8 hours from midnight till and an engineer would record you. And I went to one of these studios, and when I saw this guy doing this job, like getting paid to listen to music all night, I thought that is a good job. I mean, somehow to listen to music would be something else. So I applied for a studio job by writing to all the studios at the time, and must have sent a couple of 100 letters out, and I got a T-boy position at the Marquee. And there you get, you learn about music and sounds and sequencing, and
Yeah, and really, and without those digital audio workstations that were called Cubase back then, there was a lot of hardware and stuff. Cutting tape, were you cutting tape or something like that?
This is before Cubase, This is like, I went in studios mid-80s, and I was thinking about the other day, like we were triggering samples in the studio, but not looped, not breakbeat loops, just individual kicks, snares.
Right.
And it was all a bit complicated getting it to sync with tape machines. Synchronizing machines to tape was a real thing then, and expensive. When Cubase came along, that solved a lot of problems, and suddenly you could, trigger beats. God, I love this tune. I'm just hearing these beats again.
It's a good break.
I just want to hear it loud.
Were you engineering this one as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is the other side of that track we just played, everybody. Clean Gun. This is the same label, Lucky Spin. Artists, of course, DJ Trace and Ed Rush. Is it bringing back... What are you thinking when you're hearing this?
Why I put so much reverse snare in it when it didn't need it. Yeah, that backwards thing. I don't know if it needs all that, but
it works. It works. Let's go back further in time, because we're talking about the engineering days and stuff, and obviously before the rave scene, or even house music come around, you must have been influenced by some types of music. So we should take this back to, I mean, I asked you to pull out some tracks, and you pulled out about 50 tracks or something like that. not near it anywhere short of what we need here. So
right. Well, I tried to pick 12 from each decade.
Yeah.
So 36. Yeah. And that was pretty hard.
Yeah. So look, I'm gonna go back to the 70s, right?
And really?
Yeah. And let's play like the earliest thing that is in this list. Like this is 1968. Some of you may recognize this one. This is, and it was only in my later years I really, really appreciated this one. We'll talk about it in a little bit, yeah?
There must be some kind of way out of here, said a joker to the thief. There's too much confusion, I can't get no relief. Businessman there to drink my wine, plowman dig my earth. None will ever own the mine, nobody of it is worth. Hey. To get excited, the thief be kindly spoke. There are many here among us who feel that life is but a joke. But you and I, we've been through that, and this is not our fate. So let us start talking falsely now. The hour's getting late. Hey!
Yeah, just incredible. Like, you know, forget Bohemian Rhapsody, the amount of styles just on the guitar on this track. Now here, check. Just jingling and jangling and just wah pedals and all that sort of stuff. There's a lot in there.
It's incredible. It's incredible.
Why did you pick that one out, by the way?
Because I was thinking about music. I mean, the thing about music is it's so very strong. I mean, anyone likes music. You know, you feel music. And I think one day I was just about to go to school, and my dad had one of those reel-to-reels, and that tune was on it. And I put these headphones on just before I was going to school one morning. And I listened, and it's just unlike anything I'd heard for a start. I'd never really heard stereo, like, you got to put on headphones, you know, or be in a great room. And it just, everything about it, the journey the thing takes you on, the lyrics. I didn't know it was a Bob Dylan song at the time, but...
Oh, right, I didn't know that.
You know, yeah, and it just, there's the peak.
Yeah. And the bass line underneath it?
Yeah. It's just...
It's all there. It's like so much emotion in there.
Yeah, and it's some sort of a bar for me. Like I mean, it is one of my favorite ever records, and oh my god, this is going to be tough. You're just going to keep. I didn't think this.
Sorry, man.
We've got to play these things loud, though. I mean, it's just like, oh,
So,
Yeah.
like, when you're listening to these tunes back in the 70s, right? Obviously, you probably listened to tunes.
In the 80s, 70s, yeah, 70s.
Yeah. And like, when you're hearing this, it's like, how are you starting to really glue yourself to music and really say, I need to hear more music? How's that working, like, from track to track? I mean,
Oh God! I mean, there was my parents' record collection that I'd gone through quite quickly, and as soon as I could buy music, which meant taking my Saturday money and going up to a record shop and deciding, I could buy two LPs out of the whole world of music,
yeah.
and I would, and I'd definitely worth it, and I'd get back and these would become, you'd play them and they have become part of me, and next week it was which two, and it was tough, but after a year of that, you had 100 LPs or 100, I used to buy cheap ones, like dodgy compilations.
That's about 7 inches, yeah, they were just a couple of quid.
And just I think just buying music was building this collection of music that you love, and it being probably the most important thing to me, to spend half my wages on music was easy.
Yeah, I just had pocket. Well, I had to ask my mum for money. I was young, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I was like, have another couple of quid, and then she'd actually bought a record for me here and there, and they were great records as well. So same, just say you just wanting another one and another one and another one, and then like once you've got quite a few, you can just then go, well, that one I want to hear that one today. I'm in the mood for that one, and then mood for that one today. No,
you got it there where you said I want to hear that one now. That was the thing. I was thinking, why don't I listen to radio? There was all these radio shows, and I just didn't think or something. But actually, it's to do with wanting to play the tune that you want to play when you want to play it.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we're going to play one more from the 70s, and then we're going to talk about Larry Graham.
Ooh.
Larry Graham. You know where I'm going with this,
the
right?
Boss.
But can you see this list up here?
When I stand a bit closer, yeah. When I stand a bit closer.
Let's pick one from here.
Oh, what do you want to play? Lost in Music. Yeah.
Lost in Music?
Why not?
Yeah, all right, cool. Let's play that one. Why that one?
It's just...
This is like we're coming to the disco era now. 1979.
We are coming to disco era. Yeah, the disco era. Yeah, they call it that.
If you're just locked in... Sorry, what was you going to say?
We were just talking about the disco era.
Yeah. If you're just locked in, it's Bailey live on the Boat Pods. I do this once a month on Wednesdays. Tonight is a real special for me, and it's going to be real special for you because right now we've got Nico in the studio. This guy is a pioneer in drum and bass for sure. No turning back, man, ever. Nico was saying off mic, the great thing about these tracks is the fact that people are talking about getting lost in music, and it felt very real because there was so much good music around at this time. Let's talk about Larry Graham. Why would I have brought Larry Graham up, Nico?
Because when this distortion respace thing happened, I kept having to think more about, well, how did that happen and where did that come from? And he was the first time that I saw a bass player talking about adding distortion to the bass to give it that extra kick was Larry Graham talking. I can't remember the record.
I need to know.
Anyway,
I need to know.
So, what is the record? Come on, it's so everyday people.
All right.
But yeah, he described. I don't know. I think I might have seen it on YouTube or something. But he described, and I thought, yeah, that's exactly what I've done here.
Right.
And I mean, I don't want to bore anyone with this distortion thing, but
it's so important because that's where, you know, you take that record we first played tonight and you add distortion and you get this really powerful sound that is still kind of, now people are using and sampling those old tracks that you made, you know what I mean? So let me clear this up a bit, little bit, yeah, because Larry Graham was actually the bassist in Sly and the Family Stone. Now he loved vintage distortion pedals or effects pedals. We heard on along the Watchtower with the wah wah pedal was wow wow wow, that sort of stuff. Larry had several pedals, and there was 3 in particular that he liked to use. Now, bringing it back to you as an engineer, you must have been around this sort of stuff in studios, right? So you would know very much about this and what these things can do. But Larry was different from the rest because he was an originator of the slap bass technique, and part of his sound was those pedals. Now, actually, you know what? Let me just play a little bit from Larry talking about one of these pedals.
yes.
Really, they should be making them now. I don't know if they do, because this is so old. We call it. It's not old. No, it's antique. See, when it's old and good, it's antique. So this is another one of my antique pedals, the Jet Phaser, and I'm going to give you a little sample of what this pedal does. I use this live as well as in the studio too, and let me just show you a little bit. 1, 2.
So we can hear with Larry's guitar, the sound is wow, wow, wow. But Larry had this one particular guitar pedal, which was made by Musitronics. It was called the Mutron Octave Divider.
Really?
Did you know about this?
No, I didn't know anything about this. This is fascinating.
The Mutron Octave Divider. They still make it today, and I think Behringer's made a replica of it because you can't. It was made like it was manufactured from 1977. They stopped making it in 1981, right? So when Larry was getting his distortion, he was using this pedal. Now it would take something like. Let me just pause this a minute. It would take a guitar that sounded like this.
Bass guitar, yeah.
Yeah, just a normal bass guitar, which is what he did. And when he put the distortion on, it sounded like this.
Boom. Boom.
Did you know that was the pedal that he was using? Did you know that?
No idea.
That's the one. I looked it up and I was like, oh,
Well,
Larry Graham.
This is you do the research.
Yeah, Larry Graham. This is the guy who brought the distortion, which inspired you to create distortion. So when you was creating distortion, what were you using to use a Reese bass line and make it like really fierce like that?
I should add that, like you say, Larry Graham was slap bass, and that was another thing I really loved.
Yes.
I mean, people doing that well. But the distortion, look, the truth is, the real truth of how this came about.
Okay, here we go.
This is the honest truth. We used to spend all night. I used to spend all night in this studio making the jungle tune or putting together some beats and bass. And because the bass frequencies are low, right? You know, low. In fact, the lower the better, and the bass, you know, I'd spend 7 or 8 hours listening to, you know, beats rolling with this heavy bass coming out of 18-inch speakers in the room. Mm-hmm. The whole air just full of bass, and you know, feeling it in the chest. And well, when you spent all night making a new track, you know, you're in that state of being super excited about, you know, it's not finished yet, but it's 7 a.m, so you sort of got to go to bed and come back to it. And I'd get in my car and drive not far down the Uxbridge Road to my flat, and you'd put the tape on a cassette. We'd make a cassette to hear the tune. You know, what have we done tonight? What have we done? Now let's hear it in the car, you know. And I'd put it on, and the bass line would come in that I knew would come in, and I couldn't hear it in the car. My really poor Citroen rubbish hi-fi speaks, but you just couldn't hear the bass note ever. And it was such a downer, because all night you've been hearing it go boom, and then you listen in the car, it's just like nothing changed, and the bass line came in. Really disappointing, it like hurt me. And I thought, well, I need to hear this bass line that we've done when I'm driving home in the morning, just so I can, because it's an important, the car is a good place to listen.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, if I just put a bit of distortion on this, then those notes I'll be able to hear clear on the way home in the morning in the car. I'll be able to hear what the bass notes are. I'll just use it as a sort of... Actually, when you have the distortion, it raises the pitch a little, which is a drag.
Yeah, and actually that was the idea that Larry had with his lower notes, because he liked lower notes. He used those distortion pedals to create this fizzy sound on top, so people could really hear that more. So you adapted that. But it's not as easy as just going, I'm going to distort that. How were you distorting it?
Well, there's various ways. There was probably a bit of overdrive on the desk, but there was a pedal, I think, an old guitar pedal, a Boss distortion. I can't even remember the name of it. It's a yellow thing, a Boss.
I know what it looks like, yeah. It's like a creamy look, yeah.
Yeah, because it's not, to me, that pedal isn't the integral thing. I mean, I think you could take just about any distortion making tool and try and shape it, you know, to something that you feel sounds right. But yeah, Boss, I can't remember, bass distortion.
And then, 1995, we get this. Let me tell you a story about this. Groove Rider started moving away from all the really crazy edited fast breaks, and he's looking for a new sound. And he started playing tracks which had more or less like straighter beats like this, right? He started calling it hard step. This is when Nut Nut came out with Special Dedication, which it wasn't no fancy breakbeats or anything. It was just boom, gat, like that, right? Now, during this time, I think because I used to be up and down the motorway of Groove Rider all the time, right? We're on the motorway going up north, and Groove Rider does this random move. Instead of driving straight to the party, he pulls off. You know, you can go up the motorway and there's a roundabout at the top, so you can change direction or whatever. He pulls up onto the roundabout and he parks on the side. I'm thinking, there's no one there, there's no shops, no nothing. It's just a roundabout in the middle of the motorway. And I'm thinking, what are we doing here? Next thing you know, a motorbike pulls up next to us. Guy in a helmet hands over a Dubplate.
No, you're joking.
Yeah, turned out it's Sasha. Hands over the Dubplate of this. And we head up north, and Groove Rider plays this for the first time. And for me, that was the beginning of techstep right there.
Wow.
Yes.
What a pleasure to hear that story. That's wonderful.
Let's let this one drop. We'll come back to it.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's...
shout to everybody in the chat room. Nico, you had a story about those strings on this track. What was you saying just then?
The strings, yeah. That was those strings were a friend of mine, Phil Legg, who I worked at Power Plant with, and I said to him one day, this drum and bass music we're doing, DJs always wanted me to take a bit of Blade Runner or Alien or something from the movies, you know, and it's called strings. If it's an ambient sort of sound, drum, bass and strings. So not literal strings. And I said to him, listen, I need a chord that is sort of for drum and bass, you know, so we could have our own strings, if you like. What would be a good chord? And he played that, and he said, and you'll find that you can move it up a fifth and it'll, but the chord itself it's that kind of feeling that it gives of slight, things ain't maybe just quite right, you know, but I think, I mean, musicians will know all about that chord. Oh, it's that one, you know, and Hendrix and everyone else has used it.
But to us, the ultimate fit, you know what I mean?
It was to me. Although chatting with Trace, he's always explained, he said, yeah, the strings, but what's important is these beats and the bass. The strings are like, yeah, you know, but the beats and the bass are what everyone's rocking to, and I think I have to agree, you know.
Well, yeah, but the strings themselves took this dark side sound into another realm, because then you're starting to get these tracks played at Blue Note in 1995 that have these really epic long intros with just lots of strings and beats, no bass lines.
I know what you're going to play
next. No, what am I going to play? What am I going to play?
Play me Metropolis.
No.
Oh, all right.
Do you want to hear that?
Why did I think I knew?
Yeah, but
Shut up.
You guys were doing that. This is the thing, you know what I mean? I was going to play something else completely different, but I will...
No, do it.
Nah, babe. Let me play this. Let me just touch this quickly. This is one of the longest intros I've ever heard in drum and bass. I mean, the main bass line doesn't drop until 3 minutes into the track, which is, you know. So what I'm saying is, Blue Note, it became that sort of thing where it was just this long wait and the suspense was built up, and then you know what I mean? So I think that Mutant Jazz remix was part of the journey towards tracks like this, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Because there was that's you Blue Note a lot yourself, metalheads, and you just those build-ups, those long ones. It's not like that anymore. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 in. You know,
really?
Yeah, that's very quick. There's like 3 minutes tracks out there, 2.5 minutes.
This is all DJ Trace. I mean, I remember him saying, "Look, just get this rolling and keep it rolling." And you know, I don't think he was at all worried about there being a long. I mean, it was queue up time, isn't it? I thought that was the whole. You know. Need some time to get the record in time or something.
Yeah, but I mean, 3 minutes.
No, I agree. That's very. I had
long.
no idea it was that long. Must admit. Before we get to the point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's just chop the first 2:45 off, and.
But it did work.
Okay.
It did work. It did create that suspense, and you're just waiting and waiting for the bass line. So it moves into the track, and a little bit more sound comes in here. Little. Like this. Then you get
on the real, you know what I'm saying? Yo, son, I had crazy vision. Check it out, boom.
yes. Yeah.
That bass there, that comes.
And for some reason, that's all you needed. That was all you needed in that track. It didn't need anything else. It just went on like that. It was just, there was something about it.
Again, it's Trace, really. It's the DJ at work who's deciding, look, I don't want lots more sounds in this. It's working like this. Let me go and cut that. Let me cut that on plate.
Yeah,
and you're like,
there's a lot of that.
Let me finish it and add some strings and some other stuff. No, let's go and cut that on plate. And I think the speed and need to have new things led to a lot of that. Like, I mean, I often used to say, I was like, look, I started this tune, I was really into it, and the DJ went and cut a plate. Like, I haven't even got into this thing yet. I just start the bones of it, and he's gone and cut a plate, and you know, then the DJ would come back in, and I'd go, look, I've added all this stuff, and I'd play it to them. They'd look at me and go, nah, they want to hear that one that I played last night.
That raw one.
know?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Okay, all right.
It's usually like I do find with producers, like, the initial groove is the one that works. The initial kind of, you might be more tied up with it, you know, mixed down, whatever, but the initial track, the original vibe, what you felt at the time was better. When people think too much about it and go back in, it can start ending up being something else a bit too, you know, a bit too planned. That raw one, this version, that's what we wanted. This is the one even without the samples on it, you know what I mean? A lot of the samples. And this was the one, I mean, I cut this. Well, sorry, when we're talking about cuts and dub plates, and plates, by the way, we're talking about dub plates, acetates, which are basically instant records where a DJ could take, you know, a digital audio tape of the studio session to a place like Music House where they have blank discs, and you know, a needle cuts those grooves into the blank disc and you have that record instantly that night. They didn't last long. It was just like a thin coating of plastic on metal. I think it was nickel or something like that. And the more you played it, the more crackly they got. That's why sometimes when you hear rips of old dub plates, they're really crackly because they've just been worn out. And if you happen to hear a rip of something, what Groove Rider or Brian G, or their plates are knackered. They play out a lot and they pile them up without the sleeves on them and stuff, and they're really delicate, thin grooves on these acetates, these dub plates. So that's what we're talking about. When Nico says plates, that's what he's talking about, dub plates.
How many plays do you get off? I mean,
it's hard to say.
how long before the tops start to sort of go and
Yeah, it depends how well they've cut it in the first place as well. You know what I mean? Like,
was that a consideration for you when you're like, hang on a minute, I don't want to, I mean, this plate's a tune I love, but I don't want to wear it out too quick.
Well, the thing is, like, if you went to Music House, because there was such a massive queue and they want to protect their heads, because if the needle popped, it's thousands.
Oh, yeah.
It's thousands. So what they do, they would shave a lot of the treble off to preserve the needle, because the more you use the treble, the more it wears out the needle. But people like Metropolis, who could afford all the needles in the world, would give you the fattest cut, you know what I mean? So they cut really, like, and engineered and worked it and reworked it until it sounded perfect for that format. And those plates would last a long time.
Right.
A long time, because of the way you pre-EQ it and stuff, you know. Maybe they had better quality plates, I don't know. There was two different companies. You had Transco, I think you had Apollo or something like that.
So that's an issue DJs haven't had for the last 25 years now, is it? The dub plates wearing out. I mean,
Well, now you can't get those throwaway acetates. Now it's plastic plates, and they don't sound as warm.
when did you last cut a plate?
Oh man, long time.
I mean, why would you need to now?
Well, I don't need that. You don't. You don't.
You did then, right?
I was
Christ.
so much.
I mean, it was war.
Yeah, I mean, you had to have. Yeah,
I saw war. I saw DJs really. They need to have those tunes.
and then we went on tour for the No U-Turn album. Talk. Let's talk about that next. Let me let this one play. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. moment there, I was thinking, how the hell can my MP3s be jumping? Do I need to record this track again? And then I realised my phone was resting on the keypad thing. Stupid. If you're just locked in, this is Bailey live on the Boat Pod, our special guest tonight. I was only planning to do probably an hour with you actually, but now I just thought there's so much to you. I've really got to talk about everything around you and the sound that we're kind of hearing in the background right now, which led to a lot of things. Now, I mentioned just before Ed Rush Kilimanjaro, which you actually engineered, right? Did you work on that?
Yeah, Kilimanjaro, yeah.
Yeah, you worked on that?
Yeah.
A lot of people wouldn't know that, man. So, I mean, for a lot of Ed Rush tunes, actually, particularly a lot of tracks for the No U-Turn label, you worked on a lot of stuff, like with people.
Yeah, I mean, it does say mixed and produced by Nico on the actual release, on the record or on the CD in this case.
Well, yeah.
I realised that dubplates don't carry that information, do they?
That's true.
So I think the track gets out and into the dance and heard by people and played, So, I'm sure if I was a DJ, I'd probably be playing it going, "Oh, this is a tune I've just made." But
which is not a lie. They're involved in it, right?
Yeah, no, this is Ed Rush and I had this thing where he'd come in and we'd make tracks, and I think over the years it just, everyone got a little bit more interesting each time, and he'd have definite ideas about kind of the record he wanted to make, and I just wanted to sort of help really. And I probably had a load of ideas that he quite liked the sound of. So technology was when, probably at the height of the productions we were doing, really. I remember us doing it live at Metalheads. Ben had to stand and perform technology, in front
and you weren't involved in that?
Yeah,
right?
I was the tourist,
okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, at a party, and it was... the tune. I haven't heard this tune for so long.
I'm surprised. I mean, I don't know why you would listen to him, but like some of these things, I'm sort of like, you haven't heard that for ages, really. Like not even in a club somewhere, because these are.
Well, I ain't been clubbing for quite a while, Bailey.
This is also true.
And I don't play that Talk album much because it's quite strong. It's quite. I mean, it's quite heavy stuff. So.
Okay, so I did mention before Kilimanjaro, and now I'm playing Ed Rush and Nico, Technology, by the way, in the background. I mentioned the Talk tour. So the album, it's the very first album on No U-Turn, right?
I love the way you're calling it an album. Unfortunately, it's a compilation.
Oh, really?
Because it's got something to do with the number of artists on the record. I was annoyed about that because that Talk album's all me in No U-Turn with Trace, Ed Rush and Fierce. So it felt like a very much an artist album,
Right.
But due to the number of artists on it, it's classified a compilation. But
weird.
And that came about really as a result, like you just said, not many people know you've done that tune, Nico, I suppose I was feeling that a bit, and I did want people to know I'd made some of this music. And at one point I said to Ben, look, I think I want to put my name on the records as well, Ed Rush and Nico, So we did a few of those.
Yeah. And well, I have personal experience of some of the happenings around the album, because you did a tour of Germany, right? And it was me, you,
Rhyme Time,
Fierce, Ed Rush.
Yeah. Us five in a van.
On tour.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
For 9 days with 1 day off. With 1 day off. It was, I wouldn't say chaotic, but really, it was exciting. It was really exciting, but really kind of like, I don't know, man. It was just something about it.
It was incredibly well planned. That's what it was.
Yes.
Thanks to Dagmar and Oliver of Groove Attack.
Yeah.
They really planned it.
And I felt really privileged to be on that tour, because the rest of you guys, you are the guys that's making the music, and I'm just made nothing. I'm some DJ.
No. I remember us sitting around going, we need this other DJ, and talking about it and who, and like we're going to be in a van together for 5. And I can't remember whether Ed Rush or Fierce first Bailey.
I think it was
Bailey.
I think it was Fierce. I think it's Fierce.
Yeah, all right. Well, he's generally right about these things.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad that he made that suggestion because I didn't know, you know.
Right.
And, but like you say, it was. I mean, it was kind of crazy, wasn't it?
No one does that, Nico. No one does 8 days. You know, sort of 7 days, 1 day off, and then another day or two, or something like that. Something like that. I don't know.
I mean,
it was a lot.
It wasn't anything to do with trying to make money or anything. I mean, I can assure you there, it was simply. I mean, DJs are busy characters when they get in, but they've got the next gig to get to all the time.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, yeah. I just mean in terms of you take breaks on tours. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not all that bunched together and then 1 day off. So it was pretty. But we made it all. You know, we made it, and we did a lot of sleeping in the van and stuff.
This is partly to do with the sort of hippie side of me. Is like I still had some idea that being in a van, you know, with the music all sort of going to the next, like I'd heard all the bands did, and was somehow something, you know, we should try. But you're quite right. I mean, it was probably too many gigs in too short a time. But
it was amazing.
Yeah.
Lots of stories, some which can never be told. Some which made local newspaper in Germany, in Darmstadt, when we had such an amazing night. I mean, remember that night was super hot, and the water was dripping onto the records. There was puddles, like you could see it on the Dubplates, and then everyone was so high on the vibe of the night. We went back to the hotel.
Yeah,
I didn't see you involved in any of this, but somehow a hotel room got trashed.
Okay.
Yeah, it was water on the bed. Ash everywhere, broken pictures, and it made it into the local newspaper the following day. And
yeah, well, you know,
I witnessed some of it, and I was like, you know me, I'm just like, I'm going to bed, I'm tired.
That was nothing to do with you and me, was it? I mean,
no, I had a look in, and I could see like a few sheets pulled off and just like stuff all over the place, and I was like, yeah, I'm knackered, guys. Actually, I didn't say anything. I just went to bed. I was just like tired.
Maybe we didn't get invited back there. I don't know. Or that hotel certainly didn't work.
Yeah, well, I don't think they would have wanted us back there.
But it was an amazing great tour.
Yeah, amazing.
Watching the water fall off that roof onto and your records going around with water on them, and I thought
ultimate buzz. Yeah,
you know,
so good.
It was, wasn't it?
I am now going to play one of what you say was one of the most successful tracks on the No U-Turn label, by DJ Gunshot, or was it just Gunshot? Was it just Gunshot?
Yeah, me and him.
You and him?
Yeah, and some samples.
Right, so you was involved in this as well?
Yeah, I did. I programmed all these beats and did everything, yeah.
This is going back to 1994. And this came out, I couldn't keep up with the versions because there was a 10-inch that came out, there was a 12-inch that came out, and how many versions of this were there in the end?
There was the original Wheel Up, and I can't remember the other side, Black Magic or something. And then there was Wheel and Deal, we called it. The 10-inch version.
Right. Yes, I had that.
Yeah, I mean, that's me really having fun in the studio there. It's a different kind of record, that one, to all the others.
Okay.
What's different about it is there was 25 girls in the studio.
What are they doing there?
Whilst we were making the tune.
Why?
Well, Gunshot rolled with, he had a bit of a posse or something one night, and he came up with the Mary J. Blige sample, right? This one.
Yeah.
I shouldn't talk over the next bit, should I? But he brought that sample up and said, look, it'd be great if the Amen could drop, like you do after the vocal. I was like, well, let's give it a go. And he had all these girls in the studio, so this bit coming up.
This one here.
Boom.
Yeah, but there's Amen and then there's chopping Amen up. So who decides to make all these chops and make it really energetic like that?
Yeah, that's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I like making beats on computers. I'd like that for a while, yeah.
We'll talk about the studio itself in a little bit,
Okay.
Yeah. So it would seem that most of the records in the early days, at least, or maybe later, I don't know, were engineered by you. Like a Don engineer who had a lot of experience in like studios, and you decided to do your own studio in a storage facility in West London. How did you? What made you think you get away with that? Like put a studio, like wouldn't like people come around and say, "Sorry, you can't do this here." How did that work out? What? I don't know how that worked.
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about that one, haven't I? What happened was I love to hear music played loud. You know, in the air, in studios, you can turn it up really loud, and they're soundproofed. But at home, you can't do that, unless you've got no neighbours. And so I just love hearing music loud, and I didn't want to be paying clubs 10, 15 quid to get in to hear music, you know, loud, and you didn't even know what was going to be played.
Yeah.
Somehow, I figured that if we could find an industrial area at night when there's no one working there, we could make some noise because there's no one there. And we found this place in West London on the Uxbridge Road, and the guy said, "Yeah, you know, here it is, big room, windows." I knew I didn't want to be in a small pokey room,
Right.
so this was a 500 square foot room, and we put in speakers there and decks and set up a mixing desk, and ultimately this is so that I could play Renegade snares, Omnio Trio, you know, the remix, play it loud, and I put it on and just, I can't describe what that would, the energy that would give me.
So they were
listening to that.
okay with you. So you declared it was going to be a studio straight away, and they were fine with that.
We said we were going to make some music. We did build a soundproof wall.
Okay.
A printer on the other side came and said, "What on earth's going on? Forget it." So we did build a soundproof wall.
Okay.
But most of the time it was, so we waited till 8, 9 in the evening when everyone had left.
Yes.
So it was just the receptionist and no one around.
So obviously I've been there a few times. You know, it started coming up there, and a lot of DJs would come up there to get promos directly from you. Some of the people that even worked for you and handing people promos, people like Darren from Future Cut.
Yeah.
You know, Uncut, who's gone on to make production for Lily Allen and more.
Yeah.
Lucy Ambash.
Right.
Lucy Ambash.
Right.
Yeah. Who else? Anyone else that we?
What, people that have visited the studio and gone on to great things?
Well, no, just people who were passing through, like either promos or working there.
Oh well, there was just so many people. I mean, Beverly Price. She helped run No U-Turn.
Oh yeah. She did a lot of work.
Yeah, and Gemma, and Fiona Carson, and they understood the need to send records out to promo mail-outs. And because we didn't have any money, I used to say if people sent some stamps in, we could put them on and send them a record. And we got stamps from all over the world.
Right.
I was chatting with a guy called Rainer from Iceland, who back in the day, and he was telling me, listen, when I walked into the studio with my friend, aged 18 or something, we walked in, you and Ed Rush and Trace were making what we thought was the darkest music there is.
Yeah.
And then Bad Company and Martin Clayton walked in, and we just thought, wow. And they then ended up going down to Renegade, and then they met Darren, like you're saying, and went up to Manchester. And he was just telling me that he walked in the room and he said it was so dark, the music, but also a room of love, which I really liked.
Yeah, there was a glue in there. I mean, imagine coming. I mean, it's a big room as well, right? You come in and sort of you look to the left, and the mixing desk is there, and behind the mixing desk is a huge graffiti mural thing. Was it like the alien back there? Or was it the lady?
Yeah, the Technics bitch, we called her.
Yeah, that's right. And so, I know the story behind that as well.
Yeah. Am I supposed to tell that or something?
No, we're not. We don't have to go there. But it was set up to feel like this is our spot to do our thing, you know what I mean? And when you would get on the mixing desk sometimes, you would just have top off, just jeans on, no shoes, just zoning, and just really sort of, no one really mixed down tunes the way you did or got into the groove of a track. Like, it was like Lee Scratch Perry meets drum and bass, because you do live reverbs and stuff, things that weren't actually planned, but it just felt right to do at the time. And I'd never seen that before, and that's what felt really free about that space. Really amazing. And so it was just great to be there. Like, people just got there, get on the sofa, roll up, hang out. It was just a nice place to be. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's really nice to hear. I mean, it certainly was a real meeting point, I think, for lots and lots of people. Because you open arm welcome to any DJ who like drum and bass, or like to smoke and I mean, I think more and more, I think some kind of a place where people can meet and share and talk and trade stories and trade music. Some meeting point is probably kind of quite a good idea, but there's not enough maybe of it, or especially since laptops. We've all got our laptop and the computer at home, haven't we?
It was like there was the core community of people that went there, and then there was people that was just invited. If you knew someone, and I don't think anyone would get invited who was just some just.
No, there was a certain sort of a family thing. There were certain people that I really liked being with. Kyan Laszlo O'Brien, he was one, and Stevie Grenville.
Yeah.
And Davis Paul. And I've got a list of people I've got to shout in.
Yeah, give some people some shouts there, man.
And Martin Blackhall. And Julian McDonald and Kerry, who produced this video where I've got no top on. That studio was hot.
Yeah,
hot.
With all that equipment, and speakers.
Chantel and Kim, who had another studio. There were two girls.
They were. Yes,
they were there, and they used to. They were supportive.
They were making their own drum. They had a unit as well, and were making drum and bass. As did Rhyme Time, had his unit, and he was making drum and bass in that facility as well.
Yeah. And Steve Linden, I should mention, because he helped us massively. Albert, the receptionist at Safe Store,
really
Ghanaian, wonderful guy.
Yeah.
He kind of knew what was going on. He knew, but he didn't mind. And obviously, Fierce.
Oh yes.
I mean, that's another radio show.
I would, I have been, and I would love to do a podcast with Fierce, because his mind is.
You need to.
Yeah, that's what I like about both of you. Like, the way you guys think is different to everybody else. I remember one instance with you. We were at the N Club, right? In London. That was the spot to go to. And you just have these ideas. So we was in the club, and you was like, because you used to do No U-Turn nights there, right? And one night you said to me, what if we just put like monitors all around the walls, around the edge of the dance floor, like at high, head level, and we projected images that made the club look like it was in outer space. And I was like, what? So why are you thinking about that? You were just that guy that just came up with these ideas. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I kind of wish I was that guy. I mean, that idea you're describing was probably communicated to me, the week before by this artist, Toby Brace.
Right.
He did all the murals. He was the one I walked in, and he was sitting at a computer, and he's saying, imagine a nightclub where you're flying through space.
Right.
And I said, how's that work? And he said, well, with screens all over the walls, we could project sort of anything. And this is in 94, 95. We could project anything on the walls, and if you draw it right, you could give the people in the club the illusion that the whole club's flying somewhere. Yeah, it was wild. It was like, this is the guy who came in, heard the music we were making, and he just looked at me and said, you need Blade Runner, you need Alien, you need, it's Predator, it's this world.
But you and Fierce, in terms of ideas and reading in between the lines and being just real straight up,
Well, he came, he's 12 years younger than me, and when he came and got this job working in the studio, making tea like I used to when I was, and I think I was getting a bit tired of nights of Eamon and the energy and excitement that he had for this music was so infectious to me. I mean, it made it worth making more or something, So, It
was a great place, and you guys are great people. I can't deny that. I love you to death. Let's play this one. While I'm playing this, let me just say big shout going out to M Tasm in the chat room. Shout going out to you for Archimedes in the chat room as well. Shout going out to These Nuts. This is in the room called These Nuts. Sterling's in there. Original Metalheads MC there. Big up Sterling. You know, he's working on some music as well. We've been talking. Of course, Invaders DJ Daryl's in there as well. Big up you guys. Shout out to Too Tough Washington DC. Those are my original family. First people to bring me to America in the 90s, like late 90s. Big times. Big shout out to Christy Burton from Toronto, Canada. Big shout going to Rainier, who actually mentioned something about when we talked about the distortion pedal earlier. He's talking about the Boss. Oh, where is it? Can I find it? It was a Boss pedal. I actually named the pedal potentially that it was that you were using. You've got any more shouts there?
I got shouts. Can I please mention in this show that Tarek and Nick Reddick and Nathan Lee all came and worked in this studio, and Brock Suter and Lisa in Los Angeles were really great friends and supported me through all of this, and Cope and Edgar and Wendy from New York, Las Vegas, and then the Earth Program boys, Joel Jordan and co. And I think I've got to just thank all of the people that came to that room and brought what they did bring. You know, maybe they wanted to get a record, but there were so many different people coming with so much excitement about this unfucking music that week on week was just, you could feel it getting stronger every week. You know, it's like, hang on.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not trying to big him up or anything, but hats off to Groove and Trace, who made that thing really explode. Trace was right about the dub plates, those raw, uncut, finished ones, handing them to Groove, and Groove going, yeah, Blue Note, and just tearing up the place was what really accelerated the sound, you know what I'm saying?
They're some of my favourite nights. Those Blue Note nights were fantastic.
I'm going to play a track now, which is called Edrophenical. What can you tell me about this track?
Ooh.
Okay, I'll tell you the short version. It's called Edrophenical because it's a collaboration between Ed Rush, Trace, Fierce, Nico, and Optical. So Edrophenical is how you get that name. When I got this tune to cut onto a dubplate, I was like, because you guys, I mean, how the hell did you manage to get everybody on this track?
Right, well, that night when I looked around and I saw Ed and Optical and Trace and Fierce, and I thought, if we all could somehow get in on a tune together, it would have to be quite good. It would have to be.
Yeah, definitely.
By the time all five of us were going, yeah, tearing, it would be good. And I think all of us knew this as well. And Optical kind of kicked this off. That's Optical be there. And there was this, but at the same time it felt really kind of like, this is a one-off. This is, we're not going to be, I mean, it's hardly ever.
Never do this again.
We'd never find the five people in the room together. So we kind of knew it was going to be good, and we kicked it off. And of course, you know, it started good. I think Matt didn't like what we, you know, this is the trouble, getting five people to agree. Yeah. It's done. You might get 2 or 3 or 4, but 5, it's hard. That's why it's probably best to make music, you know, one other person.
Yeah.
But, and Dan invented the name Edrophenical.
Amazing.
That was a fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend of mine did actually say, he said, listen, Ed Rush, Optical, I mean, you guys are incredible. He goes, this record, is it really as good as it could be? And I had to go, oh, I wish we could have got it better.
I mean, but it's amazing. And it didn't come out for years. This was one of my sort of like my weapons. Because I was like, yeah, then just to bust the place up. And then you put it out on vinyl. So everyone can have a piece of that. But there was a version before this without Optical, which is just called Edrophenic. So it went through several phases. But let's listen to this because it's my kind of darkness. I love this. I love this.
Intabeats with Bailey on the Boat Pod.
When I got this tune, not only was I like, oh my god, it's all 5 of them. Maybe you could have, I don't know, why didn't anyone call Dom and Roland or Rhyme Time, or was it just like you guys were just there and just sort of, whose idea was that?
Like I said, I think it was just suddenly noticing we were 5 in the room, and there was a kind of confidence going on, I think, with everyone. Like maybe we should just, so I don't know whose idea it was exactly. Maybe I don't know. We just did it. It's a shame we didn't do a bit more, but
Yeah, and I didn't realise as well that you were behind this one as well. Where is it?
It's like mystery tune.
Oh my
Coming
gosh!
Up now. What's he going to play now?
Why is this not working? Okay, here it is.
Oh wow!
Well, I was like, what? Nico's behind production on this.
Yeah, that one.
DJ Trace, Never Felt This Way. DJ Recordings, 1993. You kind of went mental on the breaks, like.
Yeah, right.
What's going on there?
Yeah.
And then I found out
Yeah.
that you did this as well. Was you involved in this? Was you just engineering for Trace on this remix?
No, I don't recognise this one.
Yeah, well, sorry, it's been listed as yours involved. Yeah, I mean, this is Tamsin and Monk, A Better Place DJ Trace remix for White House Records.
I need to hear a bit more of it. So
Okay.
tell you if I'm involved.
In the meantime, while it's coming in, you got more shouts there?
I do just have to do a massive. I do have more shouts, but I've forgotten who they are right now.
No.
My brother Julian, yeah, and my parents obviously.
Yeah.
But and I really want to give a shout out to Mia, who came to visit us recently and has just had a baby.
Right.
And I've got to shout out the baby's name, which is, can you read that right now? Nina Mia?
Nina Mia.
I think it's Nina Mia. Anyway, Mia's had a baby recently. I'm shouting that out.
Congratulations. What can I say? Recognise it yet?
Okay.
Oh, this is a problem when you've done so much music, right?
I don't remember making that one, I don't think.
No, well, it's listed as you. Like,
Is it?
Let's completely.
It probably is then.
Okay, well,
Probably
yeah,
is.
I mean, let's try this. I know you didn't produce this, of course
my
not.
God. Oh my God! Take.
When I heard this, I was like,
What when you first heard it?
electronic. This is so futuristic, man. Yeah.
You know what it was? It was this beat. It was the
Yeah, totally.
It's just like, you see, all of the future music from the continent at the time, Kraftwerk, so none of it had the beat, That was always lacking, I felt. The music amazing, but the rhythm, when this beat, it's just too much, isn't it?
The tough beat.
It's just it.
Nico, man, we've got 20 minutes left, man. I have to play, if you don't mind, I have to play this.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Break.
Yes.
Salvage.
Yes.
Good. Let's talk about this.
What happened? What's the story?
Okay, so what you're hearing here is a mini disc recording, about 1998 in Richmond, Virginia, and I'm standing with a friend of mine, and we're waiting for some parade to kick off, and there's a marching band, and this drummer starts hitting his snare. There's some sirens you can hear and whatever. Anyway, he started hitting this snare, and the reverb in the street was so immense. I thought, this is incredible. So I recorded it. I think several years later, I went to see Break, and he said, have you got any sounds? And I said, I've got this snare idea, all this reverb in the street.
So that's natural reverb from the street?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's just a pure recording. And to Break's credit, he said, I'm just going to leave this whole intro on and then bring in the D&B.
Right.
And my God, does he know how to bring in the D&B?
But there's an aeroplane that comes in. No, that's something else now.
Break.
Okay.
Yeah. The whole thing is Charlie Bierman, you know, doing what he does. I mean, I was standing at the back.
Super distorted and then Yes.
Yeah, let's make a drum and bass one that doesn't feel like it's going too quick,
Yeah.
but it's heavy.
And when you started doing this, I was like, Nico's back on the production. What's going to happen? What's going to happen?
This is Charlie, this is DJ Break doing his thing. I really was the guy bringing the sample this time round, you know?
Okay. And what was that like? Because you must have, did you ever step up to the console and go, oh, look, and turn a few knobs or whatever? Or did you totally leave it to Break?
Listen, it was such a total pleasure to be in a studio with someone who's into their drum and bass and they've got their shit together. It's so lovely for me to see someone who cares and who's just raising the game. And he was making fantastic drum and bass. So when he just created what you're hearing, he did at one point say, "Oi, how do you think it sounds?" And I said, "Well, let me just twiddle and let me just present it how I think."
Yeah.
And I probably put on some distortion, twiddle thing, and he listened and he went, "Yeah, I'll show you the problem, Nico." And then he A-B'd it with a piece of drum and bass by Caliber or something, and the level drop was so insane.
Wow.
He went, "I've got to do this to the tune," and then he did some compression thing, changed some things, and there it was, loud, you know, like the rest. It's fantastic. He's such a great producer.
This is 2010, and then like 2004, we have Empire.
Yeah,
What?
fierce.
Yeah.
Fierce and Break.
Yeah.
Again, I'm the older guy turning up now, going, "You drum and bass guys, I want to be involved." I think I was invited, actually. I was invited. Oof. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about it. I mean,
And believe me, I've seen Nico doing his thing at the desk, and you can't get in his way. You cannot interrupt this guy. He is so focused on it. You can see it taking all over him, and he's just looking at the desk and listening, and you cannot disturb this guy when he's in that zone.
that's very kind of you to say, Ben.
I mean, really, I've seen it. I'm just like, and you'll sort of go like this, and you'll go like, and your hand will do this, and you go, and you're leaning over like this. I've seen it, man. I just like uninterruptible. Like everything else is dead around you. It's just you and the sound coming out the speakers, and what you need to do to make it even better.
That's the thing about being able to play the music kind of loud when you're in the studio. You know, if it's loud, when you go to an EQ on the hat or the snare or the kick or anything, a small change on that knob, you really hear and feel it, which you simply can't do when it's quiet. I mean, it's just, you can't hear those differences. And I think the summation of all those differences does lead to some kind of balance between the sounds that, like you say, you're always trying to get it more critical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me in those days, like I I was full on into the DJing thing, so I had no idea about studios. I just knew studios were there, and that's where people make the tunes. So those speakers you had must have been taking a real pounding, right? Were they actual speakers that were built to be used as studio monitors, or were they just like some, I don't know, Jamos or something like that?
Well, it was a pair of Yamaha NS10 Nearfields.
No way, really?
Yeah.
You got all that sound out of those? They're really small and super,
No,
like...
No, I'm just saying we did have some NS10s.
Oh, you had some?
The ones you want to talk about are those 18-inch bass bins, right?
Yes.
Painted, red, green and gold.
Yes.
They were from, a guy donated those to me.
You just gave them to you?
He came up, he said, listen, you need some proper speakers. And he brought up, I was like, these look like they've been ripped off from some sound system in Notting Hill or something. He's like, well, they're yours now. So they were how we could play it real loud, yeah. I wouldn't say they were precision monitors or anything of the sort.
But you see, once you have a set of speakers and you play everything through them, you soon get to know what things sound like on them anyway.
Yeah.
And what the room's like, everything, yeah.
The integral part of the development of the sound did come from DJs cutting plates, going out to clubs, hearing them, seeing them, and then coming back and going, the bass isn't loud enough, or these hi-hats are not needed, or and that was brilliant to have.
That's what they were for. That's what the Dubplate was for. That's why a lot of versions of things never came out, because they were just the test tracks running up to the actual release, or some never came out because the producer just didn't think it was good enough anyway, or that in many cases, in terms of especially rhyme time, tracks would just get lost. They're just gone. Like, where's that? You forgot you even made it. It's just like sometimes you know what the track was. Someone's Groove Riders cut it and it's going off, and you don't know where the track is. It just only exists on Groove Riders Dubplate now, because you've lost the original recording of it somewhere. That would happen often. I knew that much.
I love hearing these nightmares, DJ nightmare stories.
I need that tune. Oh no, well we can't find the tune. I was like, oh no, and I didn't want to push for it because I was like, I was gutted so many times.
I think Fierce once told me, he goes, I just wake up in the middle of the night going, where's Threshold by Dillinger? Where have I got that? And this sort of panic about it. I was like, Christ, you really do. Getting your set together is a thing, making sure you're armed and you can go and deliver.
Seriously. Yeah, because we knew what damage was being done by the music at the time. Now, if you was caught that vibe like we did in Darmstadt on tour, the magic is unbelievable. We always chase that, you know what I mean? Right, I'll play, we've got 12 minutes. Let me play this. All right, hold that thought. That thought.
Okay.
Hold that thought. We'll come back to this. Yeah. It's Bailey, special guest. It's a special show. I've never had a guest ever on any show I've ever done for 2 hours. Ever. This guy definitely warrants that. It's the Boat Pod with Intabeats.
Turn it up, man. You got to turn it up.
You know what I love? The juggling. There's like the Juice Crew Law break and I don't know what their break is, but like it was just, for me, the beginning of what I can hear is that long rollout, but still just vibing, never getting boring. But I'm sure you've got your own story about this.
Slave. I love this record. I do. DJ Buzz and Kane. DJ Kane.
Oh, right.
And we were in the studio, and it was Buzz was the guy who sort of said, "I want to do a tune," and
right.
But Kane was in the room, and I fell asleep at some point, and when I woke up, there was this beat that I didn't reckon. I was like, I didn't do that, and Kane had done it, and I thought, it's mad, but I love it. It's crazy, but I really like it, and so that stayed in. I think when Buzz came in the studio, he knew that to bring in a sample. When he came in and said, "Yeah, I got this vocal," and I said, "What vocal?" And he went, "It's Slave." And I went, "What, Grace Jones, Slave to the Rhythm?" And he went, "Yeah." And I thought, oh, wicked. I love Slave to the Rhythm, Grace Jones, and now today I'll be listening to a vocal I really like and doing, new beats and bass.
So you were involved in it, mixed down, or what was it you're involved in?
Yeah, well, I wrote all the beats. I programmed all the beats and balanced in the sounds, I guess. And there's some like noise gating I can hear of the Slave there, which is a thing that engineers like doing, I suppose.
Yeah, let me just do this little trick on it, just so the vocal's not the same all the way through. Blah, blah. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I understand it now. Back in the day, I have no idea what the hell, you know what I mean? We tried to make a tune together. And I came up and I didn't understand it. You come with some sounds and the tune kind of grows itself, and you say, "Oh, we'll throw this in," and you make it work. And it's sort of kind of supposed to retake its direction. I didn't understand any of that, and I was thinking, well, the idea I had, it's changing, and so I don't know what to add to it, and I just got lost. And that happened to me a lot of times. I was in the studio with Calix, I was in the studio with Silent Witness. I was in the studio with me and Optical managed to get a remix up, but I never understood at that time that that's how it goes. You come with samples and the tune kind of grows itself, you know what I mean? And we mentioned this one earlier, so I'll just slip this one in.
Music's good when two people are at it,
Yeah, I struggle with it, but now I understand the process, and maybe it can be done now, you know what I mean?
Yes.
I've got Script inviting me. Forget about me. What's going on with you?
This is one of my concerns. I was like, now I'm going to turn up to Bailey's show, and I've told him these tunes are like, and what if he plays that Metropolis one? What's going to happen to me? Because every time I hear that string, it does mess me up. I mean, I am transported. Probably back to Blue Note.
Yeah.
And just hearing that string and then knowing what was coming.
Yes.
Which I loved so much. So precise, so special, so unique, this one. Loved it.
Let's let this play a little bit.
I remember giving Adam F some of his first samples.
Really?
808 samples.
Oh,
God. Floppy disk. Here you go, lads.
Man.
Bailey, live from the Boat Pod.
You know, I'll be really honest about this, and I mean no disrespect to Adam at all, but when I first heard this, I thought he'd got help with it because he was making all this jazzy stuff, but he's a proper musician, and this is all him. And stuff I've heard actually recently, I'm like, it's proper instruments and music that he's making. He's got stuff coming, and it's like, yeah, this guy's a proper musician. Now, if you can go make super jazzy stuff and then come in real dark like this, your levels. And let's not forget he worked with Redman, and the guy's super talented. Super talented. I mean,
no doubt.
Yeah, man. We have. I was just going to play a couple more. Really, is there anything we missed out in all of this?
We probably missed loads out, but there was so much good stuff that we did play. So,
Yeah.
It's very strange coming and hearing, you know, music you made maybe 30 years ago.
It's good though, isn't it? It's like, you know, having a record collection and going, oh, that reminds you of this time and that moment, and you're picturing this whole. Is that what kind of is that happening for you too?
I don't have that relationship with my own stuff so much because like, you know, I like the records. My favourite records are made all by other people, and you know what I mean?
That's what happens when you heard your own music too much through mixing it down and changing it and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying I don't like it. I'm just saying the really good drum and bass, the really great ones, are really great. And oh my god, it's really.
Where's your head going? Where are you when you hear this?
Oh, it's taking me back to. I don't even know where I heard it, but I heard that. I mean, I love reggae. You know, I like the Burning Spear. I love Marley. I love reggae as a kid, and when I heard reggae with a double time beat on it, I was just taken.
Who brought you to this kind of sound? How did you come across it?
Ed Rush, Ben, lived opposite me, and we lived in the same street.
Right.
And I'd been travelling a bit, and I came back, and I went to knock on Ben's, and he had 2 record decks, and I'd not really seen this before. I mean, I really hadn't. I mean, I'd seen Cool Herc and stuff, but, you know, not someone... And he was just playing his music. Probably this was one of them.
Yep.
That was unlike anything I'd heard. And it was exciting. And he was excited. And excitement around music is really infectious and required if you're some kind of an engineer studio guy.
Yeah,
you want energy.
I mean, you know, I fully understand that. I would invite close friends around to, you know, they just come over to see me basically, and I was in a little box room at my mum's house, and
you're going to invite me one day, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sure. I mean, we're too big to get in there now. And they'd come for a chat, but they'd actually end up listening to me mix for 4 hours, because I was like, have you heard this? Have you heard this? Have you heard this? And then I'd stop talking and I'm just mixing. Actually, I lost a girlfriend doing that. She just came to see me, and I was just like, and then, I don't know how long it was into the relationship, she actually said to me, I'm sorry, but I have to leave. You love your music too much. Yeah, because that's what I would do. So I know what you're saying. So when you went over to Ed Rush's house, was it kind of like, is he just playing you stuff, and you was just like, what is this? Was your, you know, what was happening?
Well, I was out the country when the Summer of Love, you know, 88, 80, I was out the country for 9 months.
Yeah.
And when I came back, things seemed to have changed quite radically.
Yes.
You know, the party and the ecstasy, all of it. And like I said, Ben was playing these fast records, you know.
Let's pause for a minute, because this vocal here, MC Duke, who recently passed away.
Well, respect to Duke, because yeah, I mean, that lyric, can't be the system, go with the flow.
Yeah.
That was also very poignant to me. It was like kind of saying how things were now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, the individuals, what it's about.
Even though it's like this bit goes mental, we sort of, that resonated with us kind of like as a grown man speaking, saying, you know, because we were living in a time when it just didn't feel really great, and it was like, go with the flow, you know what I mean?
The tech part of it, all this techno stuff, wasn't what got me. It was the reggae vibe with the double. That's what pulled me in.
Yeah.
This came with it. And
yeah. Well, actually, let me just touch a bit of this then, because this makes total sense in what you said earlier, right? So
you're such a wizard at this, baby. I mean, it's like watching someone steer the Starship Enterprise here. I mean,
this. You know, you mentioned Basement Jaxx.
Yeah.
Well, one of them, what's his name? Simon, was part of Tic Tac Toe, who made this tune.
Really?
Yes. This is 92 now, and this was played at Rage, and I heard Fabian Gruvada play it. It was a white label and blah blah blah. And this is what you're talking about, that dub bass line, but this is one of the guys from Basement Jaxx, with 2 X's. So they were on this long before they met you, man. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely.
Big shout to Daryl Invaders in the chat, who says he worked with Simon, says he was a great guy. Look, Nico, I think we should just play one more and then go back to our lives. This is a great, you know, moment of escapism, but also a great moment to talk about you, my brother, because the things you've been behind that we don't know about, and the influence you've had on the music, is still being heard today.
Well, I mean, look, that's incredibly nice for me to hear, and it's wonderful.
It's not hard to find. You'll hear something and you go, "Ooh, let's do a little Reese type." But yeah, that's you.
But I gotta say that the thing of making music in a studio that doesn't come out or isn't heard, you know, you play it to you and a friend or whatever, but nothing really happens to the music. I remember that happening with lots of music that I'd made in studios. But the drum and bass, this scene was, no, the music you make in your studio is going to get kind of played to people this week. And that's the best thing that you can really, just to know people are going to hear the music you're making. It's just wonderful.
I can hear echoes of, where's the dat? I need the dat. Run this off, just run this off. I need the dat.
That was, yeah, good
Yeah,
Lord.
I hear that a lot in your studio, like. Do you know where that is of that tune and that?
I thought I knew what was going on in that room, but the more I talked to Fierce, the more I realised there's all sorts of stuff going on I didn't know about, especially to do with who's getting what music when.
Right.
This is, you know.
Nico, thank you. I know you know you don't come out often, so for me to get you here and to talk to you at this length and in this detail was very special for me, mate. You know what I mean? I want everybody to know about your contribution if they didn't know about it already, and just everything behind you. So I feel like we've done a fair amount of that. You know?
I've got to thank you, Bailey,
You're
because
welcome,
I think you're so very good at what you do, and it's been so what's the word? Almost relaxing. It's not relaxing because it's, but to be in the hands of someone who knows how to do a radio show is good.
Thank you.
So thank you.
I mean, yeah, both ways, man. All love, man. You know what I'm saying? There's only one way for me to finish this show.
Yeah, I think we need to show our respects. No?
Yeah, we are one of the what I would call the first generation of people involved in this music. An MC called Conrad passed away real recently, and it's just sent shockwaves through. And as much as we can say to ourselves we're not getting any younger, it's still, you know, you try and brace yourself for it because you know we're getting at that age and we're hearing a lot more people passing away, but it still bloody hurts. You know what I mean? And we're going to finish with this one tonight.
Great.
Any last words before we go, Nico?
I just want to say thank you for running a great show, and thank you for anyone tuning in, and thank you to really Trace and Ed Rush and Fierce and Groove Rider and the whole drum and bass world for keeping a thing that when I got into it felt quite, you know, it was a smaller club. And I'm just so indebted to all you guys for making drum and bass what it is.
Yeah, and you are a massive part of that. Remember that, right?
Well, okay, I'll try not to
Remember
forget.
that, I'm telling you. I know. All right, so send this next round to everybody, and condolences to everybody who experienced his presence and his family and everybody. This is MC Conrad and Makoto Golden Girl. Until next time on the Boat Pod with Intabeats, take care.
let go? Or should I hold you? Show you.